The world of music is often marked by fleeting stars, but every so often, a celestial body emerges that changes the very atmosphere of a genre. On this day, January 19th, 2026, one of those great lights has gone out. Stephen "Cat" Coore, a virtuoso, a visionary, and a cornerstone of Jamaican musical excellence, has passed away at the age of 69. To the world, he was the face of the legendary band Third World. To Jamaica, he was a national treasure. And to the instruments he mastered, the guitar and the cello, he was the man who gave them a new, soulful voice within the heartbeat of reggae. To understand the magnitude of this loss, we have to look beyond the hits and the Grammy nominations. We have to look at the man who dared to bring the elegance of the orchestra to the grit of the Kingston streets. If you want more videos like this, please hit that like and subscribe to the channel right now. It will really help our community grow, plus you will receive notification when we release more content like this in the future. Stephen Coore was born in 1956 into a family that stood at the intersection of Jamaica's intellectual and political awakening. His father, David Coore, was a founding member of the People's National Party and a deputy prime minister of Jamaica. Growing up in such a household, Stephen was surrounded by the heavy weight of history and the vibrant energy of a nation finding its own identity. But while his father navigated the halls of Parliament, young Stephen found his own seat of power on the stage. He was a child prodigy, a musical polymath who seemed to understand the language of strings before he could fully articulate the complexities of the world around him. He received formal classical training on the cello at the Jamaica School of Music and later at the prestigious Foster Davis School of Music. It was this formal, rigid foundation that would ironically become the key to his greatest musical rebellion. Most musicians of that era chose a side. You were either a student of the European classics or a student of the emerging Afro-Caribbean sounds of ska and rocksteady. Cat Coore refused to choose. He saw the cello not as a relic of the past, but as a bridge to the future. By the early 1970s, Jamaica was a cauldron of musical innovation. Stephen's professional journey began during this high-octane period with the band Inner Circle. Alongside his lifelong friend and musical brother, the late Michael Ebo Cooper, Cat Coore helped define the sound of a young, post-independence Jamaica. Inner Circle was a training ground, a place where he could sharpen his instincts and realize that the rules of music were meant to be rewritten. But by 1973, Coore and Cooper felt the pull of a different horizon. They wanted to create something that wasn't just a band, but a statement. They wanted a sound that was Third World, a name that, at the time, represented a rising consciousness of the developing world, a voice for the marginalized, and a symbol of untapped potential. They sought to create a reggae fusion that didn't just stay in the dance halls of Kingston, but could sit proudly on the charts in London, New York, and Tokyo. When Third World formed in 1973, the lineup was a powerhouse of talent, including Milton Prilly Hamilton, Richard Daly, and Colin Leslie. Their arrival on the scene was a shock to the system. While many reggae bands of the time focused on a raw, stripped-back root sound, Third World arrived with a polished, multi-layered sophistication. They were musicians. Under the guidance of Chris Blackwell and Island Records, they became known as the Reggae Ambassadors. Cat's guitar work was a revelation to international audiences. He played with the fiery, fluid soul of Carlos Santana and the bluesy precision of the American greats, yet his playing was always anchored by the unmistakable one-drop heartbeat of the Caribbean. In 1977, the band released 96 Degrees in the Shade, an album that remains one of the most significant cultural artifacts in Jamaican history. The title track, with its haunting melody and lyrical retelling of the 1865 Morant Bay Rebellion, showcased Cat's ability to use music as a narrative tool. His guitar didn't just provide a rhythm, it provided a mood, an atmosphere of heat, tension, and historical defiance.
I said that It was 96 degrees in the shade. 10,000 soldiers on parade.
This was followed by the global explosion of 1978. Their cover of the OJ's soul classic, Now That We've Found Love, turned the entire world into a disco reggae dance floor. It was a masterclass in crossover appeal. It proved that reggae didn't have to stay in a box. It could be glamorous, it could be up-tempo, and it could dominate the international pop charts without losing its soul. Throughout the 1980s, Third World's trajectory was nothing short of legendary. They weren't just a Jamaican band, they were a global touring force. Coore was at the center of it all, his presence on stage, a blend of cool charisma and intense technical focus. One of the pinnacle moments of this era was the collaboration with Stevie Wonder on the track Try Jah Love in 1982.
You know that you should know it's time for the world to try Jah love. Yes, you're the love that can bring peace and so won't you try Jah love. Love, 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 love.
Stevie, a fan of the band's musicality, worked closely with them to fuse Motown's rhythmic complexity with Third World's reggae foundation. It was a partnership of equals, and Cat's melodic sensibilities were the glue that held those complex arrangements together. But for many fans, the most magical, career-defining moment of any Third World concert was the cello set. There would come a point in the show where the high-energy lights would dim, the heavy bass would cease, and the stage would go quiet. Coore would take his seat with his cello. In a genre defined by the rhythm section, the heavy, locked-in groove of the bass and drums, the sight and sound of a solo cello was revolutionary. He played it with a deep, mournful, yet triumphant beauty. He would often weave in snippets of Bob Marley's Redemption Song or classical motifs, moving audiences to tears from Montreux to Mobay. He proved that reggae was not just a beat to dance to, but a spiritual art form capable of holding space in the world's most prestigious concert halls. He broke every stereotype of what a reggae musician was supposed to be, proving that a Rasta from Kingston could master the instruments of the Academy and use them to tell the story of his people. As the decades passed, the industry changed, but Third World remained a constant. While other groups disbanded or faded into nostalgia acts, Coore and his bandmates continued to record and tour. They earned 10 Grammy nominations over their career, a testament to their sustained quality and relevance. Cat himself became a mentor, a bridge builder who stayed connected to his roots, even as he spent significant portions of his life in St. Lucia and traveling across the wider Caribbean. He was a man of deep humility. Despite his status as a guitar hero and a cello virtuoso, he was known for his approachability and his willingness to share his knowledge with the next generation of Jamaican musicians. He understood that the survival of the culture depended on the education of the youth. In his later years, Coore didn't slow down. He remained a constant presence on the international festival circuit, his hair silvered but his fingers as nimble as ever. He saw his music as a mission, a way to spread a message of peace, love, and positive vibration to a world that often felt increasingly fractured. He spoke often of the oneness of music, a philosophy that guided his life from the first time he picked up a bow. He didn't see genres, he saw frequencies, he didn't see borders, he saw audiences. As we stand here in January 2026, reflecting on the 69 years of Stephen Coore, we see a legacy that is as vibrant as a tropical sunset. We see a man who took the sounds of a small island and made them universal. He taught us that you can be classically trained and still have the grit of the street. He taught us that sophistication and roots are not mutually exclusive. He taught us that the most powerful instrument we have is the one that speaks the truth. To his family, his bandmates in Third World, and his many friends in Jamaica and St. Lucia, the world shares in your grief. But we also share in your pride. Stephen Cat Coore has laid down his bow and his guitar, but his melody is forever written into the heart of the world. As the lyrics of his music often reminded us, the journey is long, but the spirit is eternal. As long as a cello hums in a quiet room, as long as a reggae rhythm moves a crowd to dance, and as long as we seek to bridge the gaps between us through art, Cat Coore will be there. Rest in eternal power, Reggae Ambassador. Your mission is complete, but your music will play on forever. Thanks for watching, and click the link on screen right now to watch another Jamaican content. Catch you in the next video.